Hi, back again. I just wanted to make this video because I just spoke about, Jesus Calling, a reading from that book. And then I did a video with, angel healing words from the angels with Doreen Virtue. But what I wanted to say now was like to relate it to some personal experiences, because sometimes, we can get detached from, our religious beliefs, a higher power, God, angels, and we, don't feel them or see them or experience them in our daily lives. So then there can be like a disconnect there that, it's just a text or a book or whatever. And the beauty is that our higher power, whatever you believe, and if you don't believe any of this, then, obviously it's not for you. But hopefully it resonates with someone, because we all have experiences that like ripple out to others. That's the purpose of it, I believe, to, people before us and after us, and we all affect each other and we lift each other up. Anyway, I wanted to relate a couple of experiences to show, and that's part of having faith too, is like you don't need proof, you just have the faith. And I've always had the faith. My mom was religious, she spoke to it, she took us to church, she lived it, we watched it on TV, Robert Schuller, Hour of Power, when I was growing up. She took me to a babysitter when my brother hadn't been born yet, and that babysitter took me to church, and my mom picked me up, and she told me we were walking down the street, and I just yelled out, "Hallelujah, praise the Lord." I think she said I was 3 or 4, something like that. So anyway, the reason I bring that up too is like, you can see when you look over your life, like little nuggets of the divine in our lives, right? There's always little, God winks, whatever you want to call them, little whispers or nuggets of divine intervention, right? So that was part of my path, and it continues to be part of my path, to speak about experiences that I've had and how the divine God, universe, angels has been with me during my really tough moments. And he's with all of us, whether we see it or not and have the awareness of it or not is the whole thing. Obviously, when I was younger, I had absolutely, not that I had no awareness because I knew he existed, but I didn't see the effects that he had in my life and in my daily life, which is very profound. I was going to actually I started writing it all down, and I need to continue to do that because, I can give you another example. There's so many examples, but like one time I was with a friend and we were out in another town that neither one of us is from, and we had coffee, and we were talking about, everybody has trials and tribulations and hurts and needs to heal. We all do. And I think they're brought to us so that we could see, like, we can't know love if we haven't, been hurt type, or we can't appreciate it unless, like, there's always like a dichotomy to things, right? So some of these things come to us. Pain will lead us to peace, right? And once we experience the pain, and then we're like looking for peace, and that's our pathway to peace. So the point is, we have these experiences that show like one side or the other side, right? Or, deviations, whatever you want to call it. And if we see it and notice it, it kind of helps in the healing process, right? So when I was with this friend, we were talking about, she had some really difficult experiences, and we were both walking to our cars, and we just stopped, and I started talking, because anybody that's like in my sphere of influence, I talk a lot about, God and the angels, and I'm not apologizing for it, right? But anyway, we were talking and she had difficult experiences. Here I go with technical problems. We had, she had difficult experiences. And when we were talking, and I talked about God and how I saw God in her life when she was even young, is similar to mine. And I looked up, and the minute I looked up, right above our heads is a sign that points right down. It's an arrow. It's like comes down and points, and it says Jesus saves. And it was literally like pointing right over our heads. And I just looked, and she looked at me, and I was like, oh my God, like he was there with us, answering what we were speaking to. So how amazing is that, right? I mean, you couldn't make that happen if you wanted to, right? And neither one of us were from that area, had no awareness. So it was just amazing. So there's just like little winks or whispers or nuggets of God's work in our lives. And I think I'll mention it quickly here. My mom passed away recently, and when she was transitioning towards the end of the process, I told her I loved her, and her little eye would twitch, and her eyelashes on one eye would twitch. So I knew she heard me, and I said, Mom, what we're going to do, we had spoken about a story, I think I mentioned it, I'll mention it again, how there was a mother and a daughter who made a pact that whoever passed first would let the other one know by a symbol, and they decided the symbol was red balloons. And the mother ended up staying with a sister, not that one that she made the pact with, another daughter, the sister to the other one. And she passed there, and the sister called this sister that had made the pact and said, Mom passed. So she said, all right, I'm coming over. And when the sister that made the pact with the mother came in, the other daughter said, oh, I changed her, I changed her clothes and I cleaned her up. And the sister that made the pact with her walked up, and she had a sweatshirt on that had red balloons. And the sister that dressed her, the daughter that dressed her, didn't know anything about their pact. She had put a sweat. So the point is, we're connected. We stay connected. We'll always be connected. Love never dies, right? It's always there. And it lasts, transcends time and space, right? So when I was with my mom, and she was, it ended up being that day pretty much, which you don't know when those things are happening. It's kind of like a process, but, it was obviously, getting to that point. And I said, Mom, and I said, I was playing music to her and singing to her. I said, Mom, our code between the two of us, because I had spoken to her about that example that I gave you. And I said, our code is going to be daisies. It just popped into my head, daisies. So, and she passed like within minutes after that. And I can say almost every single day, I'm seeing daisies, like daisies everywhere. A friend of mine came to stay with me for my mom's, church service. And she got on her plane to leave, and she texted me, and the plane right next to her had 2 owls on the plane, and it said parish, which was a big part of her service at the church. The pastor kept saying parish, and my friend noticed that. She goes, oh, he said parish a lot. That stood out to her. So one of the owl's name was painted on the plane, parish, and then the other owl next to it was Daisy. And and I was like, oh my God. We went to, when she first got here, we went to a Cracker Barrel, and they have the little gift stores in there. And I walk in, and there's a daisy. As soon as we walk in, we go around, I turn the card thing and lift, and then there's a daisy. And like, there was just daisies everywhere. I was cleaning out my mom's house, or cleaning out her dresser and donating clothes. And I was digging through, and there's all t-shirts in there and stuff. And I pulled it out, and at the bottom was a t-shirt with daisies on it, and it had the tag still on it. She never wore it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's so beautiful. I did start writing it down, I did start writing those down, and there's so many. I've missed writing so many down because it's pretty much a regular occurrence. Like the first time I walked into a thrift store after she passed, there was a bookshelf, and right there was a, you know, picture with a bowl, and it had a daisy right on. I was like, oh my God. Then when she had a celebration of life, and when I was preparing for that, I went to the same thrift store. They have a consignment store upstairs. I walked upstairs, and there was a plate, a square plate with a single daisy on it. So I got that, and I used, then there was a pitcher, a silver pitcher with mother of pearl inlay of daisies. So I got that, and I used those for her celebration, like to decorate and stuff. And it's just amazing because she's with me. Will always be connected forever and ever and all time. So I just bring those things up. They make me happy, but I bring them up on purpose because it's not just me. Like we all have that. And everybody has a story. A lot of times when I tell people these stories, they have similar stories. And they're just beautiful stories that you want to share with others so that they know that this isn't the end, that we're all connected, that love transcends all time and space, that there's a reason and a purpose for us being here. There's a reason and a purpose for our pain, right? And there's a reason and a purpose that we have to go through one thing to go through the next thing, right? And I just think it's beautiful, and it's worth sharing for others, that maybe it helps you in some way, or you can look back at your life and your experiences and see little glimpses of the divine. I'll say the divine. I like saying the divine because it covers everything. Everything bigger than us is divine. So you can look for the little divine moments in your life because they're there. They're there. You might not see them, and you might not have been aware of them. And when we're meant to be aware, we're aware. And when we're not meant to be aware yet, we're not. So don't judge yourself if you haven't, but just keep your eyes open because it's out there for everyone. We're all divine. Every single human being is divine. So I'll leave it at that. I know this was a long one, but I thought it would be good to bring some examples in, and would love to hear your examples as well because it just makes me happy. All right. Wishing you peace, love, and happiness on your healing journey. Namaste. See you on the next one. Bye.